Hi everyone, my name is Aira Sadiasa and I am a sophomore studying Computer Information Systems, and I am also in Dr. Whitaker's Sociology 101 class on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12 o'clock. So today I'll be talking about feminism and kind of what exactly is feminism. So feminism originated in the late 18th century and early 19th century. So what kind of sparked this movement was the suffrage movement. And a defining moment for this wave of feminism is the 19th Amendment, which gave women the right to vote. The second wave occurred in the 1960s, and it was kind of coincided with the counterculture, and this was marked as the women's liberation movement, focusing on legal and social equality. A hallmark case for this movement is Roe v. Wade, which gives women freedom over their bodies. The next wave of the feminist movement was sparked by the Me Too movement at around 2012 that exposed rampant sexual harassment in the workplace. While this started out more in the Hollywood industry, it infiltrated in almost industry, and arguably today we are still in this wave of feminism. While these three waves of feminism that I've discussed previously are important, the media, history books, and scholars often leave out the impact of women of color on the feminist movement. And some may also support feminism but still hold racial bias or discrimination. As a result of this, the study of intersectional feminism was developed. Intersectional feminism focuses on the intersection of race, gender, and class, how these three interact to perpetuate a system of oppression and class domination. Gloria Jean Watkins, more famously known for her pen name Bell Hooks, is credited as one of the pioneers in the study of intersectional feminism. Hooks was born in the segregated town of Hopkinsville, Kentucky in 1952 to a working-class family. She was one of 7 children. She grew up during the Civil Rights Movement, which is marked as a dark time in history where racial discrimination was at its highest and most violent. In 1954, the Brown versus Board ruling led to the desegregation of schools. Although this was great news and a step towards equality, shifting attitudes and erasing generations' worth of racism will prove to be a much more difficult feat. Watkins talks about great adversities when making transitions into an integrated school, and throughout all the adversities that she faced, she managed to get admitted to Stanford University, where she graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in English. She then went on to get her master's at University of Wisconsin-Madison and her PhD at UC Santa Cruz. Gloria Jean Watkins started her career as a professor of ethnic studies at USC in 1976. She then went on to teach and publish her works in prestigious universities such as Yale and Oberlin. Gloria Jean Watkins adopted the pen name Bell Hooks from her grandmother, as she is a proponent of maternal legacy. She is also known for never capitalizing her pen name because she hopes to bring attention to the message rather than the persona. Hooks published her first work, Ain't I a Woman? Black Women and Feminism, in 1981. She gained widespread recognition as an influential contribution to the feminist thought, the historical impact of racism and sexism on Black women, and she also defines feminism as a movement to end sexism, sexual exploitation, and oppression, and as well as developing the idea that early education is crucial to developing healthy relationships and communication that is not impaired by race, class, or gender inequalities. Hooks was inspired by Sojourner's Truth's speech, Ain't I a Woman, specifically this passage from Sojourner's Truth's speech. Truth reveals that man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches, and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place, and ain't I a woman? As Hooks reminds us of the influence of Sojourner Truth, Hooks also hopes to encourage women to acknowledge their difference but still support each other. She also introduced the idea of intersectionality by opening up the idea that gender relates to race, class, and sex. This means that we need to allow men into the feminist movement to promote camaraderie instead of a separationalist ideology. By doing this, she shifts focus on feminism from victimization towards understanding and to appreciation and tolerance. Hooks is widely cited by feminists for her perspective on tackling the broad perspective of feminism. Hooks claims that if feminism can mean everything, it means nothing. Hooks defines feminism as the movement to end sexist oppression and exploitation. As a young professional hoping to go into the field of either business or STEM, I am a strong advocate for feminism. This semester, I've been working at the Center for Gender Equity in STEM, also known as CGES, under Dr. Kimberly Scott, where I try to explore and study different companies and what their stance is on gender equity, and more specifically, women of color. I was actually introduced to bell hooks by my director when she assigned me to read some passages of Hooks' work, Teaching to Transgress. Oftentimes, education can feel like a restraint. For 18 years of our life, from kindergarten until 12th grade, we sit in a classroom and teachers tell us what to believe. For example, many of us were taught to believe that Thanksgiving commemorates the friendship of Pilgrims and the Native Americans, and personally, it took me until my sophomore year AP US history to find out what really went down at Thanksgiving and how the Pilgrims actually exploited the Native Americans. What Hooks is trying to get at essentially is that educators must challenge the boundaries of race, class, and sex in order to gain freedom and break down barriers of racial and social discrimination. It's important to be educated so that we can understand each other rather than run away from each other. Additionally, film media history politics has been historically white and male. It's 2019 and that's getting old. Let's get educated so we can understand each other. Let's break down barriers. Feminism is not just for women. Feminism is not just for white women. Feminism is recognizing unheard voices and giving them a platform to be heard so we are no longer afraid when a black man walks down the street or see women as an object. Feminism is inclusive and we need men, women, and everyone else that identifies in between to pay attention to unheard voices.